One of the most loved flatbreads would have to be naan bread. I think it's the best bread to have with any type of curry. My recipe though doesn't have just plain white flour. In fact, I think the best types of naan have a combination, a blend of 50% white flour and 50% wholemeal flour. It's going to give this recipe a really lovely nutty flavour, a slight chew, which is exactly what you want for a naan bread. So I'm going to add 500 grams of my flour into a bowl of a mixer. And we need some yeast. Now this is 1 sachet of instant yeast, so about 7 grams. I've added some sugar. The sugar actually makes it really puff up like this. It's actually called feeding the yeast. I've added some warm water to that and a hint of flour too. By doing that, it really activates it. You know it's ready when it puffs up like this. It needs to be in a warm space too to activate. So into our bowl, so in with our yeast and a hint of ghee, or just some melted butter is fine. And I'm going to place this onto my stand mix. Now we start the mixing and kneading process. And as the motor goes, I'm going to add some warm water. It has to be warm, and also yogurt. Once I've given it a bit of a knead for about 4 to 5 minutes, that's when I'm going to add a really good pinch of salt and then keep kneading for another 4 to 5 minutes until it's really soft. This dough has been working really hard. This now goes into a bowl. We're going to cover it with some Glad wrap and we need to let it rest and prove. So it will double in size. Just leave it in a warm space in the kitchen and then we're ready to divide this into little balls and start rolling it out. All right, this naan has been sitting here for an hour or so. It's quite warm in this room, so it does double in size quite quickly. Now, it really depends on the warmth of the room. So this has taken an hour, but it may take a little bit longer, particularly because it does have that heavier, nuttier flour, that wholemeal in there. It may take a little longer, but this is what we're after. See how it's just slightly sticky and bouncing back? That's what we're after. Beautiful dough. So we're going to take it out of the bowl, onto the bench, and I always like to have a little extra flour on standby. We'll just sprinkle that over the bench, and now we can divide this into 8 balls. So we'll cut that in half, and then in half again, and then in smaller portions. And the beautiful thing about making your own flatbreads like naan at home is you can make them small or large, whatever size you like to make them, you can do. So I want them to be sort of at that oval shape, but still look quite rustic. So we'll just work with 1 ball at a time, pressing it out. And then I'm just going to roll it into that oval shape. It's quite a strong flour, so that's why it does spring back like that, which is totally normal. And that's our first one done. Now, what I like to do is just brush one of the sides with water, just a little bit of water. I'm not adding any oil whatsoever to the pan, and I'm going to place the first naan into the pan on the wet side, and you'll hear that little sizzle, and all that water is going to evaporate, leaving us with a lovely little crust. Once it's lovely and toasted, I'm going to turn it over and cook it for a few more minutes on the other side. Naans are coming out of the pan, hot, hot, hot. And while they're really hot, just brush it with some ghee, which is clarified butter. If you don't have ghee, just some lovely melted butter will work really well. And you can be adventurous with the flavours with the naan. If you like, you could add some garlic to it, some parsley. You could even go as far as adding a little bit of cheese to it. So I'm going to pile these warm naan onto a board. Look at this one. I love the caramelisation on that. So next curry night, be sure to make your own naan. It's actually super simple to do. And instead of just using plain flour, why not try a 50-50? So 50% white flour and 50% wholemeal. You get a really lovely nutty flavour. And just have a look at the texture of this naan. Smells fantastic. So good. Exactly the way naan should be. Slightly chewy, fluffy, just right.